What is going on, IVE Warriors? It's your boy Edward V, and today we're going to do something interesting again. You guys got a kick out of the fact that I responded to that weight loss video just a week back. So I'm going to go ahead and do another one that's interesting because of the anecdotal look of the individual person, but also of how this person achieved their goal. And the video that they posted is called How I Lost 70 Plus Pounds with no intermittent fasting and no keto. So this is going to be very interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and break it down in this video. Stay tuned. Alright guys, not going to bog you down with my jump rope, but if you do want a jump rope with a swivel design, aluminum handle, and an ergonomic design, you can't go wrong with the Fledge Fitness jump rope. You can just click on the top right hand corner of this video or down in the description box below, and you get all of that for only $16.50. And I always forget to mention, it comes with its own jump rope carrying case. So you get a lot of value for that type of jump rope. And of course, as always guys, thank you for your support. Now let's go ahead and jump right into the video. Alright, so if you think this video is going to be me bashing another channel or another person simply because of the fact that they reached their goals without using intermittent fasting, then you haven't truly watched my channel. You probably have an understanding, or you're familiar with my channel, and you know that I am a proponent and an advocate for intermittent fasting because of the scientific evidence, the body of evidence that we have, the meta-analysis, the control studies, all the systematic reviews. Because of those type of studies that we currently have, I believe that intermittent fasting is very powerful, not just for weight loss, of course, but also for things like certain health aspects that are innate that you get within the intermittent fasting system. But my number one thing that I always say is that adherence is above intermittent fasting. So if you can find something that works for you, then that's the best thing to do, regardless of the fact if it's intermittent fasting, if it's a ketogenic diet, whatever it is, find what works for you. And this is what I believe her name is Michelle, but her channel is called MitchSantana. This is what she did. She found what worked for her, and it was kind of funny as I was watching it. She essentially stumbled onto everything she needed to do to ensure that she lost her weight without knowing that she was doing the things that she needed to do to lose her weight. So as she was explaining the things that she was doing, I found myself kind of chuckling because it was like, wow, she that's what she needed to do. And she just ended up doing it without really noticing that she was doing any type of change that needed to happen for the weight loss to continue. And I'm going to go ahead and explain that. So what did she do? What did she do that was so different? Well, her whole thing was that she didn't really do a diet or anything like that. What she did was she realized, especially when she went into college, that she was eating way too much like Chick-fil-A or fast foods, as well as having multiple like high calorie snacks like honey buns and stuff, a massive amount of those in her dorm room or in her room or her apartment. So whenever she was hungry, she would eat those type of foods. She would grab those foods, or whenever she was bored, she would grab and eat those foods, which is what a lot of people do. A lot of people eat out of boredom, which adds to the calories and which unfortunately adds to the weight. So what she did was that instead of instead of completely just figuring out a diet and using that, like keto, for example, or doing an intermittent fasting protocol, she just changed her mindset to say, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to eat the things that I want to eat, but I'm going to replace them for a more healthier version of those things. And this is how you replace those kind of foods with more healthier versions. For example, she used an air fryer and she cooked at home. The number one thing that I tell you guys when it comes to the food element and how you eat is the more you eat at home. If you just cut off things like eating out, If, for example, if you eat out 50% of the time and you eat at home 50% of the time, if you did eating at home 70% of the time and then eating out 30% of the time, you may actually inadvertently just lose more weight simply from that shift. And the more you shift it, the more weight you could possibly lose. Why? Because when you eat out, you don't exactly know how much calories are in those foods. They put a lot of oil on those foods, a lot of different things, a lot of mixtures are put in there. So you might just be eating rice that has like 400 calories more, 500 calories more than what you would have done if you made the rice at home, or how many calories you would have had if you made that same exact rice at home, because it's a mass production kind of thing and they want to make sure flavor is there. So there's a lot of sugar put in things, a lot of oils put in things, and you end up eating more than the calories that you are assuming you're eating because you're eating out. Whenever you switch to eat from eating out to eating at home, you're automatically going to start to lose weight. So she did that switch without knowing that just based off of that, she's going to have more control of the calorie intake from that switch that she did from eating out. So she would eat, for example, chicken tenders and things like that, but she would air fry it, and she would just buy the chicken tenders and air fry it herself. Another thing, she said that she doesn't weigh her food or count calories or anything like that, but because she's looking at the labels and she's understanding the serving size, she is essentially counting calories just in a more roundabout way. She knows what the calories are for chicken tenders, so she's deciding that she wants 8 chicken tenders or whatever it is, and that's how she's going to air fry that. So she is essentially counting calories, just not like in such a direct way. She's not weighing the food and figuring out, you know, how much it is and things of that nature. She starts cutting things out and replacing things. When you replace things for other things and it's just like a constant replacing, what you're doing is, instead of eating the chicken nuggets from McDonald's, you're eating chicken tenders that you make at home. You're cutting so much more calories off of that. She went from drinking juice to just drinking water. She's cutting so much calories off of that. So she's adding all of those different layers. All of those different things are compounding on top of each other to cut the overall caloric intake for the day collectively. So the collective caloric intake is being reduced drastically because of these major cuts that she's doing. She also didn't do intermittent fasting, but it appears that her system of eating is having light food 2 times a day, and then for the final thing that she eats, that tends to be her big meal, her kind of like, this is my sit down meal that I'm gonna sit down and fully enjoy. I'm gonna have it on a plate kind of thing. Her dinner meal tends to be that. Her breakfast, for example, one example was just 1 hard-boiled egg with yogurt, and I'm assuming water, because she said that she switched all her drinking from juice to water. So that's like essentially nothing. And then for lunch, she would just have like a granola bar or some crackers, which again, essentially nothing. A granola bar, probably about 170 calories, up to 210 calories, essentially nothing. But then her major food, her thing that she eats, that she enjoys, is her final dinner meal, and that's when she cooks, and it'll be salmon or potatoes and little things like that. I always caution people when it comes to these kind of stories, because they're still anecdotal. It doesn't necessarily mean that what she did will work for you. That's one of the things that is always the cautionary kind of tale when it comes to these things. It might definitely have worked for her, but it might not work for you. That might not be the system that gets your gears moving forward and keeps you there for the rest of your life, because that's what has to happen. Now, she lost to 70 plus pounds, and it took her from May 2018 all the way to December 2020 to lose that 70 plus pounds. I believe it was about 72 pounds or 73 pounds. She lost all of that during that time. But one good thing that happened was, yeah, it might seem slow. It might seem a little bit slow because of how much time it took, nearly 2 years. But she built a habit that now has a good foothold, a good flagpole. It has been propped up for her body biologically and even hormonally, because now she's in this flow. She's in this rhythm that she can easily stick to because she took 2 years to break a habit of multiple years. So when you do something for a few months, it's easy. You're in a very dangerous zone in terms of falling back to what you've been doing before. But when you do something for 2 years, you're pretty set. You're pretty set because your mind has just dropped into this new flow. Your brain it could easily work with what you're doing because you took 2 years to build that habit. So even though it took her long to get to where she is now, she built a habit over time. So even if you get to something and you hit your goal, you have to continue to do that type of system for years to come so that you can first of all, keep the weight off, definitely, but also build that habit, because you have to literally force a new habit because you're going up against multiple years of doing something that got you to the weight that you didn't want to get to or that you weren't expecting. And of course, I'm not going to talk about all the things that she talked about. There are more personal things that you can go in and watch for yourself, so it gives more value to her video. I don't want to just take everything from what she said, but I want to talk about the important parts in terms of the fitness and the dieting. So moving towards the fitness aspect of it, all she did was walk on an incline. She walked on an incline for about 40 to 50 minutes, 5 times a week, and that's what also helped her. So think about it. She's cutting so much of the food out. She's replacing it with very low calorie versions of those foods. She's making sure that she's understanding the serving size. And on top of that, she's walking for 40 to 50 minutes on an incline. And we've already spoke about the studies where you need to hit at least 30 minutes. So even though she's probably not going in there fasted, she is hitting more than 30 minutes and doing her incline walk. And she's doing it 5 times a week. But she's also doing resistance training. A lot of people, when they're trying to lose weight, they only want to focus on cardio, but she's not doing that. She's building some type of tone and muscle. Especially if you haven't worked out, you're going to build muscle very, very fast, because it's basically the newbie gains that comes with the fact that you're shocking your body into building muscle because you just never worked out. That stimulant has never been stimulated in that way before, so you're going to build some muscle. And what happens when you build muscle? More calorie partitioning starts to take place. Whenever you start eating, now your body needs to not only store some fat, but it also has to provide some of those calories towards your muscle to retain that muscle and to build that muscle, because you're doing resistance training. So now she's cutting out the food. She's making sure that she's doing cardio. She's making sure that she's doing cardio more than 30 minutes, so that she's triggering more of that fat and she's depleting glycogen. And then on top of that, she's doing resistance training, which is allowing calorie partitioning to take place, further dispersing more of that calories than she's already taking in, pushing it towards her muscles. And then she said after she got to a certain point, she started to jog. Now, when you are losing weight, there's always something called metabolic adaptation, where because your body mass is less, you're carrying less weight, there's a reduction going on there. So the stuff that you've been doing is not going to burn as much calories as it did before. And that creates a plateau for a lot of people, and they get stuck in those moments. But she felt better. Her cardiovascular system started opening up more, and she decided to she decided to push on that. She decided to say, okay, because I'm feeling my cardiovascular system, I feel better. I can breathe more even with these walks. These walks are feeling very, very easy for me. You know what? I'm going to jog now instead of walk. And she continued to lose weight because she increased the intensity of what she was doing, working out, thus pushing through that metabolic adaptation period where she probably would have plateaued. She actually pushed through it. Now she's doing multiple videos, or she's done multiple videos from my understanding. I've only watched this video of her weight loss journey, but she's done multiple videos of what she eats and things like that. If you want, you can go and check out her channel. I'll definitely have it linked down below. But I thought that it was an interesting video to watch, and probably a little educational for you guys, just to see the little things that you can do to change how you're eating, just so that you can meet your caloric goals. It doesn't have to be drastic. There isn't bad food and good food, as I always say. You just have to do little things that you think are insignificant that are very significant, like shifting more of your eating from home to eating out. Not only will that save you a lot of money, but it also usually tends to be less calories in the things that you cook at home and way more calories with the things that you eat out. As we continue to spread the positivity on YouTube, because I know YouTube is a very, it tends to be very aggressive. I want you to go and, give her a like, subscribe if you like her content. As I said, her channel will be linked down in the description below, as well as the video, so you can check it out for yourself. She goes into further detail. It's a really good watch, and you guys would definitely enjoy it. I hope this video has helped you guys, gave you guys some ideas of things you can do to cut calories without making it feel so drastic. Of course, I want to thank my patrons for my Patreon. I'm going to go ahead and put their names right up here. And as always, guys, I'll see you on Sunday for another FAQ. Peace!